They thought they were invisible, untouchable. For decades, the Mafia ruled American streets, gambling, drugs, protection rackets, and blood. But in the end, it wasn't bullets that brought them down. It was microphones. This is the story of how the FBI finally beat the mob. The 1960s were the golden years of organized crime in America. The five families of New York controlled everything, from unions to construction, from Hollywood to Las Vegas. Their power was built on silence, loyalty, and fear. For years, the FBI couldn't even prove the Mafia existed. J. Edgar Hoover himself denied it publicly. He called it a myth. Meanwhile, mobsters were living like kings. But then, something changed. A small group inside the FBI decided to fight back. They weren't soldiers, they were scientists, engineers, and analysts. And their new weapon? Surveillance. It started with a bug. Not the kind that crawls, the kind you hide in a lamp. In 1961, agents secretly planted the first listening device in a Chicago restaurant owned by a man named Sam Giancana, the city's most feared mob boss. What they heard shocked them. Giancana wasn't just talking about gambling or extortion. He was talking about politics, about Hollywood, about the CIA. The lines between crime and government began to blur. That single microphone opened the floodgates. Soon, hidden transmitters appeared inside cars, hotel rooms, and even in the walls of mob-owned clubs. The FBI could finally hear what the Mafia said when they thought nobody was listening. But this new kind of war wasn't clean. The FBI broke into homes at night. They tapped phones without warrants. They risked their lives and their careers for evidence. Some agents called it Operation Bug Drop. Others just called it obsession. In 1963, their work paid off. A Mafia insider named Joe Valachi became the first made man to publicly testify against the organization. On live television, he uttered a phrase that sent shockwaves through America. Yes, there is a thing called La Cosa Nostra. For the first time, the public believed, and the FBI went to war. Under new leadership, they created the Organized Crime Unit. They used the microphones to map every boss, underboss, and soldier in the country. From the streets of New York to the casinos of Las Vegas, their voices were no longer secret. The breakthrough came in the late 1970s with Operation Donnie Brasco. An undercover agent, Joseph Pistone, infiltrated the Bonanno family for 6 years. He wore hidden mics everywhere, even during sit-downs with killers. Those recordings led to dozens of arrests. But it was dangerous work. If the mob found out he was a Fed, they'd have buried him alive. By the 1980s, technology had turned the tables. The FBI could track phone calls, cars, even heartbeats. Wiretaps and bugs became the deadliest tools in law enforcement's arsenal. The mob didn't understand how fast the world was changing. They believed their code of silence, omerta, would protect them. But you can't hide from a microphone. The final blow came in 1985. The Commission case, the largest mafia trial in American history. For the first time, all 5 New York bosses stood accused together. The evidence? Countless hours of secret recordings. The jury heard their own voices plotting murders, fixing contracts, and dividing power. Guns couldn't have done that, but technology did. By the time the verdict was read, the American Mafia was finished as a ruling force. Their empire had fallen, not in a hail of bullets, but in a storm of sound. Today, organized crime still exists. It's gone digital, global. But the lesson remains. Power built on secrecy will always fall to those who can listen. Because in the end, it wasn't guns that beat the mob. It was microphones. The Fall of the Mafia series, How the FBI Finally Beat the Mob. Stay curious, because the truth always finds a way to be heard.